Are you aware that you cannot separate yourself from the source energy part of you? Are you aware you can pinch yourself off pretty good from it? Are you aware that the better you feel, the more source is flowing through you? You like seeing the world through the eyes of source? So you think it's a good idea to deliberately tune your human, physical, leading edge, vibrational personality to attune to the vibration of your source? We think so too. Do you know that when you do, you are in vibrational alignment with what can best in human terms be described as love, security, well-being, clarity? In other words, when you take the time to tune yourself to who you really are, you feel really good. Do you sometimes wonder, since you come forth from that vibration, that place of non-resistance, do you sometimes wonder, why would I do that? Why would I leave pure positive energy? Why would I leave a feeling, a knowing of love and security and well-being? Why would I come forth and expose myself to contrast, to conflict, to unwanted things? What was I thinking? And we say, you were thinking, I as source energy will bring a part of myself into an environment where there is enough variety that I, leading edge, that's the key, leading edge, new time, new place, new environment, new exposure, new experience, new variety, new co-creating, new combinations, I will come to new conclusions. And we really want to bring you around to the understanding that that is what we, eternal beings that we are, all want. We want the best environment in which to choose beyond what is. And do you get why that matters? When you are thinking about eternity, don't you want new stimulation that provides the basis of the new choices? Don't you? Of course you do. Now, you wouldn't maybe want the new choices if you don't have the ability to focus upon the best of them. We can see how if you were to get oriented into the what's wrong with life attitude, that you might not be enjoying the contrast so much. It would be like believing that you were assigned to a buffet where you could only pick things to eat that you didn't like. And we think that's the way that some of you are approaching or feeling about this variety in this physical environment as you complain, why are there wars? Why are there hungry? Why are there sick? Why are there disagreements? Why are there disagreeable? Why is there so much that does not please me? And we say, think of it as a buffet and just be a better selective sifter. And you say, well, I don't even think that the bad stuff should exist. And we say, but when you go to a buffet, you don't agree on what's wanted and not wanted there. Who would get to choose? How would you like that guy over there? Look what's on his plate. Would you like him to choose for all of you? You say, no, not really. Mostly what he's got I don't want. Well, how about that person over there? Do you want that person to choose for everyone? No, don't like his plate either. Well, what do you want? I want to put my own plate together, you say. I want to do the choosing. And we say, so isn't that the way it is? And it really is the way it is, but there are a lot of people choosing that don't know how they're choosing. It's like they have invisible arms out there scooping up stuff and putting it on their plate, and then they deny, I didn't put that there, I didn't put that there. I would never have put that there. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Somebody else must have put that on my plate. I think my mother put that there. I think the government put it there. The government put that on my plate. It was karma. Karma put that on my plate. And we say, nobody puts anything on your plate. You put it all on your plate. And you say, no, I swear I did not. I would not put that on my plate. I would not. I don't like that at all. I would not have put it on my plate. I think about every day how I don't want that on my plate. It's the thing that my mother said, don't put that on your plate. Don't ever put that on your plate. I had that on my plate and it was horrible, so watch out. Don't put that on your plate. She told me, and I swore I would not put it on my plate, and I teach my children every day, don't put that on your plate. So I didn't put it on my plate. How did it get on my plate? And we say, you're starting to get the idea as you begin to understand about law of attraction, that when you give your attention to wanted or unwanted, you put it on your plate. When you give your attention to it, you activate the vibration of it within you. And when you do that, you put it on your plate. Eventually, not immediately. You have warning signs that let you know it's on its way to your plate. First, it just feels annoying. Later on, it feels stronger and stronger. First, it's just an emotional response. It's coming, but you say, oh, it's not that bad. I'm used to this feeling. I'm used to this feeling of overwhelmment. I'm used to this feeling of frustration. I'm used to this feeling of anger and hatred and revenge. I'm used to these feelings. I'm used to them because they come up often. So these feelings don't mean anything to me. And we say, yes, they do. They mean something unwanted's on its way to your plate. You say, well, I don't worry about feelings. I don't worry about feelings. Feelings, I've learned to be brave. I've learned to be tough. I've learned to overcome my feelings. I ignore my feelings. Oh, it's on my plate. It's on my plate. Now, I don't want to ignore it, but now it's on my plate. Well, you can still not eat it. Well, it's getting on my other stuff. It's seeping into all of my stuff. I didn't want it on my plate. I said I didn't want it on my plate. And here it is on my plate. And we say, first, there is an emotional indicator that something unwanted is coming. But if you ignore that, don't worry, it will get bigger. Because law of attraction does not cease to respond to vibration. If a vibration is being emanated, law of attraction is responding to it. So then, once there is emotional indication, then there is the sensation indication. In other words, it starts touching you in ways that are more apparent. And eventually, you'll have a full-blown manifestation of this thing you swore you did not want and that you would never do. And there it is, full bloom in your life experience. And then you say, we don't think this idea of contrasting life is a good one. And we say, yes, it is. Don't forget, you have been putting good things on your plate too. You really do want to choose. You just want to be better choosers. And you want to know how it is you're choosing. You're not choosing with your words. People say, I never said that, not one time ever. Never one time did that cross my lips. I never said, I don't want this particular kind of cancer. I don't want this particular kind of relationship. I never used those words. I never said it. And we want you to know, you don't have to put it in words because you're not putting things on your plate by the use of your words. You are not activating the vibration with your words. Your words are a reflection of the vibration you've already got activated. But you're offering the vibration through the way you feel. And the way you feel, you're offering the vibration through the thoughts you think. And the way you feel is the indication of the vibration you're offering. You're offering the vibration with your thought. You're mulling it over in your mind. And yes, often you have conversation. Once you start joining those online chat groups, you're giving verbalization to the things that you don't want. But when you do that, you activate the vibration. And so really what we want to talk about today is the chronic activation of vibration. We want you to know that the source within you, do you get it? That the larger part of you, the energy from which you came, the God force source energy part of you that existed before you were born into this body, still exists even while you're in this body. That's why we call it source. It's the source. It's the headwaters. It's the source of that which you are. And it is alive and well and eternal and always flowing to you. And do you know what the chronic vibration of source is? The chronic thought, the chronic beingness is one of well-being, one of love, one of appreciation, one of eagerness, one of joy. So when you find some reason to focus in some way where you are not a vibrational match to that, you feel the discord. That's why there is the allowing. That means you, through your thoughts that you're choosing, allowing a match, a consensus, a harmony with the source that you really are. There is the allowing of the fullness of who you are to flow through you in this moment, or there is the disallowing or the resistance. And when you're allowing, or the closer to allowing you become, the better you feel. And there is resistance, and the closer to resistance or the further from allowing you become, you feel worse. It's just that simple. Kate is 6. She plays a game with Jerry and Esther occasionally where she hides something in the room and then she guides them to find it. She says, you're getting warmer, you're getting warmer, you're getting warmer, you're getting colder, you're getting colder. And Jerry and Esther find it every single time because Kate knows where it is. She knows where it is and she gives good clues. And that's what the source within you is doing. The source within you knows what you want, knows who you have become, and gives perfect clues. But if you're clueless, if you've become someone who endures negative emotion, who puts up with it because it's normal, who's been ornery or disappointed, who's in that sort of crabby, irritating mode, if that's who you normally are, then another bout of it in response to what you're thinking right now, you just might not be that sensitive to. So the first thing that we and many other teachers do when we're wanting to assist you in remembering who you are and living life the way you intended and fulfilling your reason for being and having the joyous life you came to live, we teach you meditation. Because if in meditation you're able to focus upon something not very important, like the dripping of a faucet or the sound of your own breathing or the flickering of a candle flame, if you can put your attention upon something and give your undivided attention to this rather inactive thought, what will happen is you will deactivate, by virtue of activating something else, troublesome, irritating, resistant thoughts. And when you do that, the vibration of your physical being rises to match the vibration of your source energy being, which means you in that moment are able to experience life through the perception of source. And for many of you, in the beginning, it feels like a detachment. When Esther first began to meditate, so she was deliberately disassociating with anything that had been troubling her. Not much troubling her in those days at all, but still, there were those irritating things that happened. When she focused in meditation, she detached from those resistant things. And she described her then experience as, feels like I'm floating. Feels like I'm beingless, in a sense. I can't tell my toe from my nose. It was a feeling of detachment and a feeling of well-being, a feeling of soul-stirring well-being, but it was a sort of nebulous, unfocused experience. These days, when Esther meditates and detaches from anything resistant, which means she attaches or connects to or aligns with the energy that is Abraham, it's not a nebulous, floating, detached feeling. It's a full-blown, conscious understanding of all things focused. In other words, Esther's trained herself by virtue of detaching from resistant things into the vibration of infinite intelligence. In other words, this is what seeing the world through the eyes of Source feels like. A feeling of invincibility, a feeling of love for each and every one. A feeling of understanding of how it all fits together. A feeling of complete self-beingness and an understanding of what a realization of self feels like. A merging in and out conceptually of subject after subject. In other words, there's no feeling of leaving something important behind while I meditate and become one with Source. When you become one with Source and you become familiar enough with what that feels like, now Source lives and breathes and flows and loves through you all day, every day. And then you are the uplifter that you are born to be.